Hello, LT. Welcome to another edition of Wellness Wednesdays. I am excited to lead you today in discussing mindfulness. I am Mr. Beutjer and I teach physical education at North Campus. I'm also the head football coach, head boys sophomore basketball coach, and head girls JV badminton coach. I've been asked to answer some questions about mindfulness and discuss my personal experiences using mindfulness as a former high school athlete, collegiate athlete, and now as a coach. I will also discuss how you can implement mindfulness into your everyday life. So now I'm going to share my screen with you and answer some of the questions that I was asked. So what do you think of when you hear the word mindfulness? The first thing that I think of when I hear the word mindfulness is positive attitude. Do you have a positive attitude when you are approaching school, work, sports, activities, family, relationships? What is your approach? Do you go in with a positive mindset? And then also, how do you respond to different situations, good or bad, in every facet of your life? So again, school, work, relationships, family, sports, activities. Hopefully you can answer that you, most of the time, do your best to demonstrate a positive attitude. I believe that positive thoughts lead to positive actions, positive social interactions, and positive responses to situations in your life, which ultimately leads to success and self-satisfaction. I also think it's really important to be present in the moment. I think when you're present in the moment, it helps you focus on the task at hand and helps reduce your stress and anxiety. I also think mindfulness means focusing on how you're feeling in every situation that you're in and being cognizant of your surroundings and taking everything in and just being really, really present. And I also think mindfulness means focusing on the process and not the final outcome. What that means to me is being your best, doing your best in school, sports, activities, work, again, family relationships, and being your best and doing your best is good enough. And try not to compare yourself to other people, and obviously then you'll be satisfied at the end of the day. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some questions about my past and my experiences as a high school athlete, collegiate athlete, as well as a coach. And that would be the next slide here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then I will discuss that. So an example of when I used mindfulness as a high school athlete was during my senior year of basketball. We were playing Wheaton North High School. I attended Wheaton Warville South High School, and obviously Wheaton North was our rival. It was at Wheaton North. There was a lot of people there. Again, a big rivalry game, very loud, intense game, very competitive. You know, both student sections are packed and going nuts. And in the first half, I ended up getting a steal and was dribbling down, and I was really excited, and I was gonna go dunk the basketball. And instead of jumping up and towards the basket, I actually kind of came in from the left side and jumped as high as I could, and I took the ball with two hands, and I kind of went to the right of the rim, and I attempted to dunk the basketball, but the basketball hit the front of the rim, and I kind of fell. And obviously, I missed the dunk, and the whole crowd on of course, the Wheaton North side was going nuts. And from that point on, the rest of the first half, every time I got the ball, the crowd was just, really loud and, obviously giving me a hard time. And I remember being, sitting there at halftime, And I was thinking to myself that I had to respond to this and forget about what had happened and be present in the moment. Otherwise, if I continued to think about missing the dunk, then I would not be able to perform, and then ultimately, most importantly, not be able to help the team. Um, so I think, sitting there looking at my teammates and, knowing that if I continue to think about this, I'm going to let them down and let the team down. So I was able to quickly forget about it in the second half. Early in the second half, I actually got another steal, and I knew I could dunk a basketball. I had dunked before, and the second time I got a steal, the second dunk was successful. And I don't think that would have been possible if I continued to think about the time that I missed the first dunk. My second example of using mindfulness as a collegiate athlete was when we played Ohio State in football at the University of Illinois. Going into the game, at the time, Ohio State was the #1 team in the country. They had the #1 defense in the country. They had all these guys that were going to be potentially drafted in the first, second, third round. And I vividly remember our head coach at the time, Ron Turner, early on in the week before we played them, talking about our approach, our mental approach to this game. And thinking back, that really relates to this mindfulness activity, because a lot of sports, a lot of school and work and relationships is mental. It's a mindset. And thinking back to that game, I remember early in the week, he said, if you think about Ohio State all week, if you think about how good their defensive end and their corner is, and that they're the #1 team in the country, and that they're the #1 defense in the country, you will not perform well individually, and you will not perform well as a team. And ultimately, we won't obtain our goal of winning and beating the #1 team in the country. He also talked about focusing on what we had to do and to do our job and to be present in the moment. And just thinking about that, he wasn't actually talking about mindfulness, but he was using mindfulness for our preparation, our mental preparation for the game. He also talked about visualizing yourself doing your job throughout the week and making big plays. Again, focusing on, our team and focusing on our individual performance, not the final outcome, and obviously not focusing on how good the other team was at the time. And he also talked about focusing on one play at a time and not thinking about the whole game. And I remember him saying that when you think about the whole game, what happens is that kind of creates some stress and anxiety, because when you think about all the plays and things that can happen versus just thinking about doing your job and executing one play at a time. So that was my collegiate example. We ended up playing really, really, really well against Ohio State that game, and ended up going into overtime. There were some questionable calls towards the end. They didn't have instant replay at the time. I think if they would have, it might have been a different outcome. But our mental approach as a team, we had the right mental approach. We were focused on us, and we weren't focused on the opposing team. And then my last example of how I use mindfulness as a coach, or an example in the past, was, I would say, last year, sophomore basketball. Had a very, very, very talented basketball team. In fact, the team as freshmen that I coached last year when they were sophomores, as freshmen, they were 24-0. And they had not tasted what it was like to lose a game. Going 24-0 is a great accomplishment. but they got to the sophomore level, and we were going over to play York High School, and York was good, but again, our team had beat them twice their freshman year. So we ended up going over there and getting beat. We did not play well. We didn't play great defense. We didn't move the basketball well. We came down and took quick shots, and York came with the right mindset. They really, really wanted to beat our team, and they did. And I remember being in the locker room after the game and asking our team, Coach Hamilton and I, asking the team, what their mental approach was. And everyone agreed that the mental approach was, we beat these guys twice as freshmen, so we're going to beat them again now. And they quickly learned that, of course, as you progress from freshman to sophomore year, junior to senior, it gets more challenging. And they also agreed that they didn't work as hard as they should have in practice, and agreed that there are some things that we really needed to work on as a team. So we sat down the Monday after the game, and we addressed our weaknesses, and we made it a point to focus on those things throughout the week to make them our strengths, so we wouldn't taste what it's like to lose again. And then, just looking back, really proud of the sophomores. They gave up 61 points against them the first time they played them, but then the second time they gave up only, I think it was 38 or 39 points. So again, they grew and they learned from losing, which, a lot of times you have success because you lose, because you can focus on what you need to improve on, and it also motivates you to improve, so you don't have that feeling of losing again. So those are my examples of using mindfulness as a high school athlete, a collegiate athlete, and also now as a coach. Okay, I'm going to go to my next PowerPoint now. And so next, what are some key takeaways for our students and our athletes and their own implementation of mindfulness? So first, I think it's really important that to reduce stress and anxiety and to be more productive, you can only do one thing at a time. And I think making a list is essential, imperative. I do this at work, for school, for sports. I do it at home for things I need to get done around the house, bills, etc., prioritizing a list, and then just crossing things off as you go. It also, again, it's a great stress reducer, and it keeps you really productive, and you're more efficient with your time as well. And I know that you have a lot going on with school and work and sports and activities, and seniors with college applications. Am I going to go to college, junior college? Do I just get a job? Again, prioritizing, making a list, and just know that you can only do one thing at a time. Being present in the moment, not focusing on the past. Like my sophomore basketball team, the example last year, focusing on the past. They did well against the team as freshmen. They beat them twice, and then it ended up negatively affecting them when they played them as sophomores. So not focusing on the past, whether you do well or do poorly. The question is, are you learning from each experience, and are you getting better and improving? And then also, on the other hand, not focusing on the future, focusing more on the process of what it takes to be successful and have a positive outcome. A lot of athletes spend a lot of time training their bodies, which is great. Muscular strength, muscular endurance, agility, speed, consuming the right foods, proper nutrition, etc. But it's also important to train your mind and to use the different activities that you've learned through the Wellness Wednesdays, and researching things that you can do to have the right mindset and right approach for when you do have a performance, so you perform well and you're satisfied. Again, there's a lot of different techniques that you can use, mindfulness techniques. I talked about visualization. There's breathing, there's meditation, and I know that some of the other teachers have touched on these as well. So incorporating and practicing and implementing those mindfulness techniques into your everyday life. Again, I touched on this, having a positive approach, a positive attitude, whatever situation you approach, being optimistic about the situation that you're getting into, and then also the same thing with how you respond. Do you have a positive attitude when you encounter something at school, at work, sports, etc.? Are you able to respond well and demonstrate a positive attitude? Again, I think it's really important to focus on improvement and not the end result. I think we all get caught up, students, on grades. What did I get? What did I get? At the end of the day, are you improving as a student? Are you learning and getting better? Are you better today than you were yesterday? As a student, as a person, if you're an athlete, same thing. Can you answer yes to that question at the end of the day? Same thing. For me, as a father, as a coach, a husband, a teacher, am I better today than I was yesterday? So, and I think if you focus on improvement, then you can answer yes to those questions. Using failure or not performing well as motivation to improve. Again, back to the sophomore basketball team, that example, we didn't do well, we didn't perform well, and we used that to create goals, to focus and hone in on what we wanted to improve on, and make our weaknesses our strengths. And then lastly, learn and grow from adversity. Obviously, when you don't do well at something, even if you try your best, you have a choice on whether you want, whether you're going to learn from it and grow or regress. And obviously, as teachers, as coaches, administrators, we want you to continue to not give up, and to know that when you go through adversity, try to find the silver lining and try to find some positive outcomes and learn and grow from the adversity that you go through. I just wanted to thank you guys for your time. I hope you continue to watch these Wellness Wednesday videos. I hope you guys continue to learn and grow. I hope everyone continues to stay safe and healthy, and I look forward to seeing you guys around LT in the near future. Have a good day.